Welcome to Sanctum. You're listening to the 100 podcast show, but CW sci-fi series, The 100. I'm Daniel Prime.
Hallowed be his name.
And today I'm joined by the one crew warrior herself, Olga.
Hey everybody, today we're discussing Season 6, Episode 7, entitled Nevermind.
Nevermind. We don't even need to talk about this episode.
For a second, I was a little bit worried about what we'd talk about in this video.
Well, I think, first off, love the episode.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, very cool episode.
Holy moly.
But yeah, we were talking as we were walking, we're like, this is a pretty action-packed episode. And when action is cool to watch, but it's harder to talk about.
I think we particularly had this worry when Clark was just handing Josephine's ass to her and just like kicking the shit out of her. Well, killed her in that thing. I was just like, well, that was awesome. But what do we say? Like, yes.
But before we go any further, I just want to get some housekeeping out of the way. This is both an audio podcast and a video podcast. The audio podcasts go out the Wednesdays after the episodes air. They go out on podcast services. You can go to the100podcast.com/subscribe and see all the services we're available on: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that jazz. You can also check us out on youtube.com/doingok to see a video version. That goes up Tuesday night after the episodes. These are our first reactions. We're giving you our quick thoughts here. And then Sunday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, we put up an audio podcast on podcast services. And that's our full length.
With your feedback.
Yes. All right. More thoughts about this episode.
More thoughts. Some great familiar faces.
Oh, Monty. They brought my boy back.
I got a little choked up. I was like, yeah, Chris Larkin's here.
I really like Monty.
I love him
He's
so
a good boy.
much.
I wish that he had been able to come to Conageddon.
I know.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
We even had the Make Algae Not War shirts. And I was like, it's all for you. It's all for you, Monty.
Seeing Maya again was really cool, too.
Yeah, nice unexpected twist. Seeing Blood Raina. Although Octavia's on the show.
Yeah, but still fun. Getting
still
that
dark.
set again, yeah.
And, of course, Clark's dad, Mr. Jake
Papa
Griffin himself.
Yeah.
Some heart.
So that was some cool stuff.
And of course,
who else
I think that Allie was a great unexpected
Yeah.
addition, considering she helped Clark.
Yeah.
Was amongst that group. She wasn't one of the like, I hate you, you deserve to die. It's like, here, I have technology for you.
And also,
Ta-da.
very interesting way that they, like, I don't think I saw almost anybody talking about the chip being what saved Clark.
Yeah.
I'm still a little confused about it, but it's interesting. It's so, like, everybody was like, the flame, or like, somehow
her night blood.
Yeah, or he was still in the background of the mind drive. But very interesting. I'm still a little confused about it because I'm like, I don't understand why having remnants of Allie affected Abby and Raven to the point where they needed the EMP and not Clark.
Yeah. I think it might have something to do with the fact that they just were exposed exclusively to the chip and not the flame.
Well, maybe it's also because Allie actually controlled them and she never controlled Clark. But it's interesting because Allie's still in her brain. It's just interesting.
It's interesting, and maybe we might get some more clarification on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Again, first watch. Yeah. First reactions.
I love seeing all the different sets again. All the different
wardrobe.
Yeah, the wardrobe was great. Also, like, I was sad when we first like went from the season 1 look to her going, immediately going back to that jacket, which. It's sad because I loved that outfit when we first saw it, and now I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, she's been like trapped in it for a little bit.
But then the fact that they like fought and then like tumbled between different outfits and stuff, I thought was really cool.
That was cool. That must have been fun. To edit together.
Awesome cinematography and just different cool
set
tricks.
Design.
Yeah. And then for me, honestly, one of the stars of the episode. I mean, obviously one of the stars, but like. I can't say Eliza's not the star of the episode.
Eliza's absolutely the star of the episode.
But I fucking loved...
Dan, you got in a little trouble on Twitter today with people thinking that you don't like her.
I fucking loved Sarah Thompson, I believe her name is, as Josephine.
She is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, love to hate her.
Oh, she was
Clearly.
so good.
She's so
Such
good.
a great villain. Such just a
like,
deliciously chewing up the scenery villain.
Sociopath.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good writing for her. Someone had a lot of fun. I think it was Kim Chunwei, I believe.
Yeah.
Just writing that dialogue was great.
It was so, I mean, how many times can I say this was so good? But it really was, you know, she on paper is really just someone where I'm like, wow, you suck.
Yeah.
Like, as a person.
Yeah.
And there are two ways you can take those characters. I mean, like, McCreary last season, like, yeah, he sucked too.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you're like, man, you're just like
boring.
a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you really are. You're a criminal in a very clear sense. And all right, go die.
Yeah.
And now Josephine, I'm not saying I don't want her to die, but now it's just like, oh, you're going to cause so much pain and harassment for these people I love, and you're doing such a good job.
Well, I mean, it's the thing. We are in an interesting spot right now with Josephine, where I'm like, okay, so we end the episode. Bellamy wants to save Clark, obviously, as Bellamy does. Very great. Him, like, his lighting up face of, oh my God, Clark's alive.
And the fact is that he's like, Pike taught it to us. Pike is helpful sometimes.
And I was good at school, apparently. I didn't realize that. Very cute. But yeah, so he's going off, and I'm in this weird spot where I'm like, I don't want Josephine to go away at this so early in the season. Like, they still have more episodes. And I also don't want to stop. I wish there was a way we could get into the material world, Josephine, like the original Josephine.
That's the thing. Of course, I am enjoying seeing Eliza and you know, her as Josephine is good. But Sarah's really good as Josephine.
Yeah, just really fun. And seeing them play off of each other is what really makes it work so well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when she said something along the lines of, I think we would have been friends, it's like, you absolutely would not have been friends. No, 0% chance of that. But you're just psychotic enough to believe that that's true.
Oh, I just like that she has some respect. I mean, it fluctuates, but she has some respect for Clark, and, you know.
She does, but she's also just like, wow. You hate yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. It's like, look at all these people that hate you.
Well, I like that her mind is a library. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Again, she's so intelligent, and this really reinforces.
Yeah. So obviously this is more Clark's episode, but since we're so on the Josephine track right now, do we want to talk about the
You drank the Joe juice?
Yeah. We want to talk about her little flashes.
Well, it was interesting seeing, I wasn't expecting to see the flashback to her death or like her most recent death.
The Kaylee murder.
Yeah. And getting some exposition on what her oblation plan is for the Nulls. And
I'm still a little confused about the specifics of it.
There's still some theorizing that I feel like I have like a little bit in my own head.
Well, okay. So what is your current?
All right. So the way I've gathered things is that the Nulls have been a part of this. So again, for those who haven't listened to the podcast, our full one on 606, Nulls are those who have like none of the recessive trait to carry the night blood.
They have both dominant traits of red blood, no possibility of passing on night blood.
Yes, so they're never gonna give birth to people who can be hosts.
Yeah.
So the idea, it seems, is like Josephine especially is like, these are a waste of our resources, and it seems like historically these people have served as like sacrificial lambs in their society, but they've been allowed to grow up.
Well, yeah, they've been basically like indentured servants or whatever you want to call it.
Like the lowest of the low in like a caste system, so to speak, of like they're janitors, they're guards, like people who are easily sacrificed. But it seems like Josephine put forward this thing of like, let's just sacrifice the babies who are born this way and not even bother letting them grow up. I have the feeling that this is a relatively recent thing.
Yeah, I'm unclear. So, especially we're talking about 6 years ago, before Josephine, her last body died.
Yeah.
We're unclear. I'm unclear at least about how recently she came up with the oblation idea and whether it was forcing the babies to be sent to their death, or it was like, oh, we're going to do propaganda to convince people to sacrifice their own babies.
Right. Again, it's the offering grove, like the parents bring their babies there themselves, even though it's like Josephine's project, so to speak. And she got Kaylee on board, but it seems like Kaylee fell in love with this null named Isaac, and Josephine was like, you're wasting your time with him, he's less than nothing. And that's what caused Kaylee to like kill Josephine after Josephine killed Isaac here.
Yeah.
Man, Josephine's a fan of the throat slashing. But
the thing that I'm still confused about, though, is that it seemed to me from conversations we'd seen that Russell was never on board with oblation.
Yeah.
So like, and I guess they must be just convincing people to sacrifice their kids. It can't be that they're forcing them.
I think so, but I think it could also very well be a thing of like, ever since Josephine died, maybe they rolled back on it, and now people don't do that, and it's still like, all right, you might be born a null, but that's and then they go back to that train. The reason I think it's a relatively recent thing is they have the mention of Gabriel
being 95 6 years ago, so that he'd be 101 now.
In our current timeline. But she's saying like, oh, at that time, she was saying like, oh, he's been in his host for like 75 years because they're like 21 years old when they get a new host. Basically, I think that one of the reasons that he might have run off or might be like taking in these children is because of Josephine's like, all right, let's sacrifice babies now. So when I say recent, I mean like in the last 75 years, which for people who are over 200 years old
is somewhat recent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, I don't have like proof for it.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sprinkling of mythology throughout this. Obviously, we get the stuff about when they go pre-bomb era, and we get like a little bit of Dios's trial.
2043. Small note. So we're based in Boston, the greater Boston area. It's that like the newspaper that had Dios's photo. It was like the Boston capsule, and considering that like Josephine and her friend are like in college and they're protests, it's making me think that maybe she's in college here
in Boston,
and I'm like, I don't want you.
I read it as
you are an asshole.
I read it as high school, but I guess
it could be an advanced high school, or it could be college.
Yeah,
it's really.
It
hard
seems
to
like
tell.
high schoolers to me, but maybe I'm wrong. But I was talking about the sprinkling thing, as far as they also had that other magazine that was it Becca that was on it?
The Franco Files. Yeah. It's a profile on Becca and her innovations.
Yeah, interesting. So we haven't had time to like freeze on that and really dissect it, but that will be interesting.
Right.
What did you think about that flashback? Specifically the core like emotional flashback thing.
So, I mean, we have it set up that guy who, according to Twitter, his name is Dave.
Who shoots himself.
Yes. Yeah. Who I suppose is maybe either an ex-boyfriend or wants to date her.
It didn't seem like they had ever been together.
Yeah. Well, I could see it of like maybe them having hooked up and then her brushing him off. Maybe. Again, this is pure conjecture. We're disagreeing. But he said like, you think you're better than me. You have this like sense of superiority. Yep. So this predates her being a knight, or like her having being a prime, feeling like a god. But at the same time, maybe this is also like supposed to be seen as the turning point where she's like, I was faced with someone calling me out on this, and I don't want to face it ever again. Yeah. And I just want to be this person who is better than everybody else.
He perceives her, I would say, basically, I was surprised he didn't say the word sociopath, but like, it seemed like he was calling her out on already being a sociopath. Yeah. That's at least how I read it on first watch. Why is it so impactful for her, right? Especially if she is a sociopath and she's killed so many people since then. Yeah. Is it just that, did she actually care about him? I don't really think so.
I didn't get that.
So I think what it comes down to is that was maybe the first time that she did feel sort of like guilty, and she didn't know how to handle that emotion. Yeah. So she maybe it's just that like after that she pushed all emotions down.
That's how I'm perceiving it. She's just like, I don't want to face this feeling ever again. And I think it's sort of guilt.
Yeah, but does that tie into, I mean, I don't know that much about mental illnesses as far as what's a sociopath versus a psychopath and all that stuff, but
I don't either.
It seems like it would be weird for like a traumatic event to make you a sociopath, but maybe if people know more about this.
I have tried to look into this in the past. I've taken up abnormal psych, and I've never fully really like internalized this information. I'm not Josephine. I do not have a library for a brain. Yeah. But yeah, I'm also wondering what this is supposed to do, because I have a hard time. Like, they kind of set themselves up with a challenge in this episode of, on the one hand, we see her literally, like, sacrificing babies.
Yep.
Even saying, like, my offerings are disappearing as a baby cries in the ground as vines grow into it. Like, those are your dead babies. And I grew up in the era of dead baby jokes, Dan. I don't know. Anyway, so that's her responsibility. And then at the same time, it's like, are they humanizing her by trying to show, like, this guy who committed suicide in front of / for her and that traumatized her? And I don't really know how to reconcile this person. I mean, again, 200 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I saw you starting to get into a slight Twitter back and forth about you being like, this is a dangerous territory to try to humanize her. And I assume you're saying that because of how much you associate her with being a Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, eugenics are not, positive.
And I get that. I also definitely think a villain with a multifaceted villain is more interesting than a straightforward villain. At the same time, so do you want to?
I was just gonna say, to be clear, I'm not just saying that it's a hard time, like a risky path because of her like beliefs. It's also risky because I feel like it's a difficult thing for writers and a show to pull off, to succeed in humanizing her effectively
because of how
dark and evil and sociopathic she is.
I guess
it's twofold.
Because I guess the thing is, especially with something like this, I don't really know what I'm supposed to take away from this. Like, at one point 200 years ago, she felt bad about something.
And she still feels bad?
Even if she does, I mean, she's done, like, he killed himself. She's done way worse things since then. So I'm a little like, maybe it is supposed to be like her origin story. And like we said, that's ever since then, she's like shut down emotionally. But also I believe Kaylee at one point is like, what happened to you or something? In one of the older versions. So I don't know if we're going to get even more about that. But yeah, it's not like I feel like I have a better understanding necessarily
I'm more confused
of her after that. I mean, I think it was cool to have that set. It was cool to, see those little Easter eggs and to be back pre-bomb. Our first little hint of that before we get our big time travel season confirmed. And and I definitely, like, I thought it was cool. And obviously, Clark leaving Monty there and then becoming Monty and then doing the stuff with the
Morse code and
the lights was really cool. And obviously it was a great way to have her connect, because I was like, how is she gonna, like, how far is this episode gonna go? Like, is she gonna get out this episode? Is she, like, what's gonna go on there? Thought that was a cool way of doing it.
Again, it's a really nice reminder, like, all of the people that we met in Clark's head, in her memories, yes, they're the people who are in her lives, but they're also her.
Yeah.
So it's this thing of like, oh, yay, it's Monty reassuring her. And it's like, no, but that's also Clark, like, picking herself up. And choosing life and choosing her family and listening to these greater instincts. So, like, it's just, it's a nice thing, a through line of like, yes, it's a great way to revisit people, but it's also still her.
Do you like the way that the episode ended?
I felt like I wanted more.
I felt like I was surprised that we cut to the teaser for next week, to be honest.
I was surprised it was 9 o'clock.
I mean, like, and I think, I feel like I'm going to get shit for this. I think it's a really good episode. I don't think it is as good as it could have been. I think that the pacing to me felt slightly off. I know people, I say this fucking every episode.
We are the pacing people. No, this is the pacing podcast.
Like, I don't think I should be surprised that the episode is ending. I mean, like, I get that we got to the ultimate thing of her contacting. An episode that's so focused on, like, Clark's inner turmoil.
Tongue twister.
An episode about that. The climax of the episode should be her, like, coming to a realization, right?
Yeah.
And you could say that happens with Monty, but I honestly, even though I love Monty, I don't feel like it was a deep enough conversation or as much of a eureka moment. Like, I think we got much more of a eureka moment last season at the end of season 5 when Lexa talked to her and she, like, like came out of it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't. And then I felt like it was trying to serve two masters because 2/3 of the way in the episode it shifted gears and now it's about giving us exposition about
that is
Josephine.
True. I do agree with that.
And so yeah, it's cool that she ultimately did this thing to get her thing, but that climactic moment isn't really about her as a person. It's more about like, oh crap, I realize that she kills babies and I guess I should fight for him first.
Yeah. So there are two things I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
One, gathering from Kim Shumway's tweets, they filmed a whole ton of a lot more than they aired, which is standard.
Yeah.
But especially, it seems, in this episode, there was a lot cut down and a lot cut out. And
a lot they wanted to do but couldn't because of scheduling.
Right, but that's not what I'm trying to say. So it's almost this thing of like, well, maybe there was more like Clark alone in the diner, Morse coding, and they were just like, well, we already had it sort of for Revelation with Monty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know that for a fact, obviously, but I agree with you that it would have been nice of like just another beat of Clark as Clark in her head, like herself saying or really acting out of like, I'm here. I want this.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's to the same degree as she was like, I guess this is it. I guess I've died.
Yeah,
you know,
because it became about the climax became about defeating Josephine as opposed to Clark overcoming her own demons.
Yeah.
That's to me what the slight issue is here. Now, I still think the conversation with Monty was good and there's good stuff in there. Maybe when I rewatch it and listen more closely to the specific dialogue, I'll feel slightly differently. I think part of it is like when you're watching it the first time, I was still expecting more.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great watching all this stuff. It was great seeing Eliza do all this stuff. I loved the stuff we got about Josephine. All the painting, all the art and drawings all over the place. Very cool. So one thing I did want to say that I really did enjoy how like her own apparitions hated her and were mean to her and all that stuff. And then also like the intelligence she used to like trick Josephine with the collar, the fighting, all that stuff was really cool.
The Rover.
Yeah, the Rover.
Baby.
Maya with the makeup was fucking awesome.
So unexpected to see her again. It's too bad we couldn't see Wells. But...
Too bad I mean, there's lots of people, like obviously Lexa would be awesome. Jasper would be cool. There's lots of, Finn would have been, but I do like that they actually showed the knife and all that stuff.
Yeah, there were a lot of great callbacks. I love the fact that in the box that she retained the chip in, with the information of how to like wipe with the EMP. Yeah. That the lock just means like obvious. There are 100 of you, 100, and then Clark specifically saying you forgot Bellamy and Raven, and it's 102.
Cute.
And it was just like, it feels good. Yeah.
Very cool.
It was just these nice details.
Yeah. I also, you brought up the EMP thing, and I just want to throw out I'm a little confused about it because, like, to me, it would make sense that when you do the EMP, it would destroy the mind drive too.
You'd think. And
then so I'm like, okay, well, I guess they could take it out and then do the EMP, but as soon as they take it out, wouldn't Clark immediately take back control? So I'm a little, I'm confused. But
a targeted EMP?
Maybe.
Do they have that technology?
Or maybe they take out the mind drive, but Clark is like tied down and then they do the MP or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, obviously,
we'll find out.
Clark is going to overcome this somehow anyway.
I mean,
yeah.
Guys, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is like, I don't want to say like pseudoscience, but also all of this is made up.
Yeah.
And even though these are like real words and real terms, how they use them is not something that I know about.
Yeah. Something I like they brought up was the whole thing about the child abuse of Maddie.
Yeah.
That was interesting. It makes me realize I actually wish Maddie had shown up. I think that would have made a lot of sense.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
That would have made sense. Yeah. As like, it would have made as much sense as Jake showing up.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is that the three pillars that you'd expect to see in a way of like Bellamy, Lexa, and Maddie are all like present throughout the story without being there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they tried to explain away Bellamy and Lexa by being like, oh, she can't bear to deal with them.
Yeah, it would hurt too much to face them. Honestly, I think that tracks from Addie as well, of like what she's done to and for her daughter, and now like not being able to face her with the choices that she's made.
Yeah.
And this reality.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it tracks. I mean, it does make sense almost of like, I couldn't say goodbye to you in real life, so I'll say goodbye to you here.
Yeah.
But.
And they, like I said, they do a pretty good job of making them present as far as like, Josephine brings up Lexa. We see Lexa in the drawing. We see
in the memory.
Octavia's talking about the whole Bellamy thing, or Blood Rain. I'm sorry. And Maddie is like one of the core reasons that that she decides to go with Monty and all that stuff. So it also Abby would have made a lot of sense too.
Abby would have, but again, having Jake there, kind of fills that in too.
I also, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if there were entire scenes with entire extra people they had to just cut for time.
It sounds like that. It also sounds like there was like a lot more running through rooms in between the chase of like Russell and Josephine of Clark.
Can we get a director's cut?
Yeah.
I want me a director's cut.
I would buy the DVD, like a season DVD, like web exclusive of this.
Yeah.
We'd pay for that. Screen it at Conageddon 3.
Yeah, it'd be cool, actually.
Yeah.
So the one thing, the one big thing I feel like we should have talked more about before we end out is her wooded mined box space area, right? Where the box is, where she hid it.
Okay.
I'm a little confused by it. I'm interested to dissect that, the symbolism and stuff of that more. Obviously, we talked about the box being, I think it's the box that she found the suicide note in and the goggles in.
Yeah, and the goggles were there.
But yeah, there's the interesting thing of it like being like in the woods and there being the throne there.
So that was Lexa's throne.
Yeah. So is that just supposed to signify Lexa maybe?
I think so. Okay. And then you also had like the pillar and the knife that was used on Finn.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because that makes sense about the Lexa thing, because she said, it's why you cry when you think of Lexa is because of the throne would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Finn knife was interesting.
Yeah, and she removed something else from the box other than the goggles.
The video of her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe there's more. Yeah. If anyone saw more Easter eggs.
Oh, I'm sure there's a ton of shit.
I'm sure.
I'm also just interested in some of like the whispers that happen in the background and stuff and all that stuff. Yeah. It's going to be a fun one to dive into in more detail, to hear what other people thought. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I do think you kind of made me a little bit more negative.
I'm sorry.
About the ending.
Yep. I'm a bad guy.
But also at the same time, I don't think that you're wrong. Yeah. Like, I feel like I would have felt the same way. And I do think that what'll help with rewatch is like our expectation, like knowing what to expect and now just being able to like take it at face value and see what was there and just absorb it that way. And then I think I'll end up being back on a really positive note after the rewatch. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the, I still think this is my favorite episode of the season. I still really think this is top 5 episodes of the show overall. But I guess the thing is, because I like it so much and because I like this show so much, I'm hard on it. Like, I'm like, there was just an inch more that if you did it more, I'd be even happier. And I was like, I mean, that's just me. But
we're being nitpicky because we're doing that for entertainment.
Because that's who I am.
Yeah.
I pick things apart. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're an audio listener, please send us feedback for our Sunday audio podcasts.
You have a bunch of days.
Yeah. So if you are a video watcher, you want to make sure that you're catching the audio podcasts, I am going to have some links in the description. Also, just go to our website, the100podcast.com. How can they get us feedback?
If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment right here below. If you have a Twitter account, you can tweet at us. And again, you can email us to the100pod100@gmail.com. Or you could, as Dan said, go to our website and there's a contact us submission form there.
Yeah.
So that about covers it, I believe.
All right. Well, that wraps up.
Please don't come to our house.
No,
I will not accept that feedback.
We are in Boston. Come to the water rationing rally.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and may we meet again.
May we meet again.